Hey, hi everyone.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So
Hey Smith, how are you?
yesterday, hi as for let's give everyone a minute. All right. So yesterday we discussed on different policies. Do you guys have any question on the policies and about the assignment which I gave?
I had a question about the session policies
Mm-hmm.
or the session policy. Give me just a sec. I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing it right because I know we covered it pretty quickly. So for ours, we go to security authenticators and then, or we would go to security and then we would do it through global session policy.
Correct.
Okay. Um, and then I also had a question about so I assigned it like the session policy to everyone because I think you have to assign it through groups, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then I I deactivated the policy because I had stepped away and then I logged back in, after a while at work when I had some free time and it kind of locked me out and asked me for a question, like a security question.
Mm.
So I had removed it and then tried to do it through Okta expression language, but for some reason I kept on getting a few weird errors. Like when I was trying to do not equal to, I was just trying to assign it to everybody except for the admin group. And I kept on getting some odd error, like a unknown API error.
You
Have
have
you?
to show me what have you configured.
Okay.
So hopefully today's class will help you figure out this on your own as well.
Okay. Give me just a sec. Pull up. Oops. Yeah. So I just ended up putting it for everybody and then putting an exception in here. I think it was in here that I did it. Um, so this is all we had to do, right? Was set it to 2 hours over here for the session limit.
For idle, not for the maximum.
Okay. So I
So
can
this
put
will
this
be
back to.
no time limit.
But if I do no time limit, okay, I got you. All right. So and this just has to be idle. Okay, cool. I think there's a way to do it in using the Okta expression language. Oh, or I think what I did was I went to directory groups and then did end users. Like I created a group called end users and see the rules. You have to deactivate it to get the rules, right? Um, yeah, I'll just do a fresh one so you can see what I was trying to do. Oh, or actually rules right here and users. Deactivate. Edit. Um, so I just added the groups that I had, but it didn't pull all the users in. Basically, what I was trying to do was um, user attribute. Yeah, so I did if or what did I do? I did if I think it was group is not equal to IT admin, which was, or actually I changed it to administrator on my thing.
This
Been
is not the
assigned
right
to.
expression. No, this is not the right expression. There is no expression as such. If you go to expression language reference, there's nothing you can evaluate like that group not equals to IT administrator.
Okay, so how would I do like a group in the expression language?
Yeah, here you can search for the group expressions, and there is a membership of group, there is a
Okay,
filtered group name, but there is nothing called group. Uh,
okay, all right, cool.
so
So I
these
think
are the main supported features.
okay. So if I do group dot contains,
No, that will not work in expression language. It clearly says it is only meant to work with group claims. If you read that note, group dot
oh,
contains, group dot starts with, and group dot ends with. These are
oh,
functions which are designed only to work with group claims. You
group
cannot
claim.
use this in expression language. You can only use this in expression language, which is member of group name, is member of group, is member of any group, and so on.
Okay, so if we do is member of group name is not equal to administrator, then assigned to
No,
end user.
that's not how it is shown in the example. Go back to that page and see the example, how it is defined.
Okay, so I guess I would need to look for operators in here.
No, you don't need to look for operator. The example was already given there, right? It's is member of group, and then in the bracket you have the group name. Like group one is the example here, right?
Okay, so oh, okay, so but how would I say? Okay, so is member of group name, and then they put it in quotations, right?
Yeah.
Or they put it
Remove the
in
space.
parentheses.
Parentheses and quotation. Also remove the space after the group name. Yeah.
Okay.
Put the quotation. Yeah. And thus put a not sign before the is.
Okay. All right. So this should work.
If the
Okay.
group name is. That's right.
Yeah, I think it is administrator. This is what I was getting confused on. Um,
Again, you have to, your role is deactivated, so you reactivate that role.
yeah. Um, activate. Okay. Okay. End user. Okay. Cool. Perfect. That was the only thing I was getting stuck on. Sorry about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. So today we are going to touch a very important topic, which is logs. What do we mean by logs? And have you seen logs before? Anyone?
Um, are logs like long flow like the inner workings of what's happening and what's occurring behind the scenes, like kind of when we use the SAML tracer we could see what request was being sent and what the response was. Is that what you mean by logs?
Kind of.
Or like sometimes when we have a lot of people using Google Meets, then there's a log that shows which user signed in at what time and signed out at what time. Um, and it will give a backlog of like a whole month or a year or whatever. That what it is.
Is it a record system type of thing?
Yes, it is. So everyone is right, partly. Blogs are events. Anything which you do within Okta as a user or as an admin, it generates events, right? You add a user, it generates an event of adding a user, so that there is a record of why this user was added, who added the user, when was it added, what was added, and so on, right? So it's like a record maintaining system of each and every event happening in that system so that we can track back of why this changed or why certain things might have happened. One, for record management. Second one is troubleshooting. So like if you are trying to do something or if certain user is trying to log in but they are not able to log in, right? Then also an event will be created that this user tried to log in and the reason was a failure and sorry, and the outcome was a failure and the reason was something due to which the outcome was a failure. And this way we can help troubleshoot as well. So logs are very important. It is kept in all the system, not just Okta. Any application which you use, even if you use any music app, Netflix would also have a log of when did you subscribe for this particular plan, what movies did you watch, and so on, right? So that when you raise a ticket to Netflix for any issues which you have, they can know what were you trying to do, and then they can provide you the resolution steps. So logs are very much needed. Okta also has logs, and Okta has different ways of showing those logs. So one pretty standard way is we go to report and system log, and we can see all the logs in here. This is the raw format, right? You can see all the events, particularly for a week. So this is a start date from when the event is showing, and this is the end date, which is of today, right? So it shows today till 23:59, 59 IST, starting from 1/4. So from 4th January till 11th January, it shows every event which has happened in my Okta system. And I can just keep on clicking more, show more, and I can see all the records. At maximum, it shows 50 records. If you want to show more records, you just need to clicking on show more and it will keep on loading more 50 records each time you click on show more. So these are the logs. So what if we review this, let's first look at the log. So this is the actor. Actor is the user who is performing the event, right? This is the timestamp when this event got performed. This is an event which has happened. So actor Sumit Tiwari logged into Okta admin applications. It says user accessing Okta admin application. So somebody logged into Okta admin application, and that somebody is Sumit Tiwari. And the target which got impacted because of this event is also the same user, because a log was created against this user, so that when you modify yourself, you are the actor and you are the target. So when I log into any application, do a single sign on, at that point of time, I am adding a record to my own log, right? So I am the actor for myself and I am also the target. The app can also be the target, but for specialized app like Okta dashboard, admin dashboard, it's just the actor is the target. For any other application which you integrate and you do a single sign-on, you will see both app and the user are the targets. Okay. So likewise, I can also see that on Jan 11, this timestamp, Okta admin console requested for some kind of access token, which was granted, and target is a user and a token, right? There are two targets. We don't know which user, but there is a user which is a target and a token. Again, on Jan 11, Sumit Tiwari tried to do a single sign-on to an app. I am the target myself, and also app itself is the target. Okta admin console is the app, which is the target. If we scroll down like this, we can see all other event here. Yesterday, I created a network zone. So if you see Sumit Tiwari created a network zone, right? So I am the actor. What event did I perform? I created a network zone. And what was the name of the zone I created? VPN, right? I also created a network zone called block IP. I also updated a policy called default policy. I also enabled a factor, MFA factor. I also did a single sign-on to Facebook, right? And so on. So I did all of these activities, and it is everything is recorded here, right? So this is a very helpful tool if I want to track of what activities were performed, and also if I want to troubleshoot something. By default, it shows event in this way, right? And in this timeline, we can see when the maximum event has occurred, right? So we can see at 6:30, 5:30, there were only few events which has occurred. And if you hover over this, it says two events. Then at this point of time, again, two event has happened. This time 32 event has occurred, right? So this may be our business hour. This is where maximum events are occurring, right? This is again where 70 event has occurred between this time frame, right? So it is trying to tell us what is the maximum, like what is the time when much of the event occurs. So using this, whenever, let's say we are planning to do something which may impact users, we might try to avoid these hours, because this is where we see a lot of activities. So users are active. Again, this is, I told you, from and to timestamp. So you can toggle between how much log do you want to see. By default, it is 1 week. And at maximum, you can see 3 months of log. Now, after January to 2022, you can see 6 months of log. But if you want to see more than 6 months of log, that is not possible. Okay. You can only see up to 6 months of log, 3 months yourself, 3 months through Okta support, and nothing more than 6 months. If you wanted to see more than 6 months of log, you have to use some external tool like Splunk or Logarithm and keep on constantly storing these logs on those third-party systems. But by default, you cannot. You can also see a specialized log instead of seeing everything. You can also see a specialized log by passing some query in the search box and just looking for those queries. In that case, it will only show you a specialized log. For example, if I want to see only single sign-on events, then I can say user dot authentication sign on. If I'm doing the right event, hold on, I myself have forgotten the event name. The authentication.sso. So if I hit this query, then it will only show me single sign-on logs. Now, if you see, all the logs are nothing but user single sign-on to app. So it becomes easy for me to now only see the single sign-on logs and do my analysis, whichever I wanted to do, instead of seeing each and everything here, right? So this is one way of looking at logs. Another way is Okta has created some out-of-the-box reports for you, and those are very common report which management would like you to present every month or every 2 months or 3 months or every quarter. And these reports, they would require to do analysis on if this tool is helpful after they have purchased and how are we utilizing the tool, right? So you can see we have SSO. The important ones are SSO attempts. It will show you total SSO attempts performed by all the users in your Okta. Whether it was failed or successful, that does not matter, but all the attempts will be logged here. You can see total authentication through AD agent when you have connected Active Directory to your Okta and users are authenticating using the AD credentials. You can see how many authentications are happening using AD credentials, and out of those, how many are failed attempts. Again, you can see total Okta login and failed Okta logins. You can see how many applications are supporting SAML capability, and they are available as template, but you are not using it, right? You might be using a custom connector, or you might be not using SAML. You might be using SWA or something else. So it will show you. Currently, I have 0 apps which support SAML, and I'm not using SAML. But if you are using any other application type like OIDC, or you are using SWA, then it will tell you that there is a connector available in the template and you can now use SAML for that specific app. It will also tell you the provisioning capable apps, how many apps support provisioning, but you have not enabled it. So it shows GitHub Enterprise supports provisioning, but I have not enabled it. So I can enable provisioning if I would like. It will also tell me how many unassignments from the application were performed recently between this time and time period. You can again change the time period and you can visualize there were no unassignment performed for any application for me between this time period. Then you can see the MFA usage. How are your users using MFA? If you do not put in any username and if you click on request report, then it will generate an Excel sheet and send you an email with that sheet. And you can see how SMS is being used by your different users. And you can see suspicious activities. Suspicious activities are generated in Okta whenever somebody who is not your Okta user but is trying to log in using a username which does not exist in Okta, then it records a suspicious activity, and you can see those suspicious activity here. And if you want, you can also download that as a CSV Excel sheet, and you can then present it to your management. Currently, I have no suspicious activity in my tenant. Then you can also see deprovisioning details. Currently, in last 30 days, there were no app assignment which got deprovisioned and something, so there is no report. You can also see admin role assignment report. Who are your admins and how are what level of access do they have and so on, right? So if you click on request report, it will again send you an Excel sheet which you can see and confirm if those admin needs to be an admin anymore or no. You can see application access logs, who are accessing application. This is nothing but the single sign-on logs again. So you can see all the single sign-on events, right? So it take you to the event console, system log console, you can see, and it already puts in the query for you. You can also see application membership change, that who were assigned and removed to the application recently. So you can see these are the users who were assigned or removed from the different applications, and who removed or assigned them is the actor. And what application, you can also see the application names, right? Then if you want to see policy activity, who which user are getting evaluated through policy, if there was any change in the policy, if any new policy were created and so on, then you can click on that policy activity and you can see the evaluation of single sign-on policies, right? And all those policy were evaluated when I logged into the tenant. I updated 2 policies, again 3 policies and so on. and there are others. So all of these out of the box report are fairly easy to use. You don't have to do anything. You just need to click on them and it will either download an Excel sheet or it will start showing you in system log with the socialized query. But in case if you do not find your template here and you want to still find the logs, then you have to go to system log. And as I told you, this was very advanced tool and it records each and every activity which you perform, right? If you also want to query this tool, what you can do is you can also do an advanced filter and you can filter based on certain event type and actor and so on. And it will then show you logs only for those actors or events. But you need to know what to put in as a value in the advanced filter to search using that. And for that, you need to start analyzing these logs. Okay. So let's say if I start analyzing these logs, let's start with easy network zone, right? So if I click on this arrow beside this log, it will expand the log and you can see every log has almost this 5 categories: actor, the user who is performing the event, client, the machine using which the event is being performed, which can be my laptop or my browser, event, the actual event which is getting performed, like network zone getting created here, request, in case if there was a REST API or a web request, then what were included in those requests will be shown here, and target, which user or application or the policy or network zone was impacted. You can see that information here. This is in a nutshell, right? If you click on expand all, you can see more information on these, right? So it expands into this big list. Now, if you see in actor, you have alternate ID, which is nothing but the Okta username of the user. So here you can see my username. This is a user who made certain, who performed certain event. And this is the display name of the user. And this is the ID of the user, right? We know ID from our API classes. And this object is nothing but a user type, right? If this was an app, it will be app instance. If this was a policy, it will be a policy. If this was a rule, it will be rule instance and so on, right? This is a user, so it says type as user. Now in client, you have device. Device is nothing but a computer, okay? This is a city from where this event was performed. This is the country from where the event was performed. This is the latitude, longitude, postal code, state based on my IP address. And this is the IP address through which I am connecting to Okta. This is a browser, Chrome on a Windows 10, and this is the user agent. Every browser has a user agent, and that's how we recognize which browser was used in an event. And this is the user event or user agent of Chrome browser. Zone is null. That means my IP address belongs to no security zone, which is configured. And we have yesterday seen how we can create security zones or network zones, right? Coming to the event, I can see the important information is display message, which tells you what event was performed. So network zone marked as blacklist, right? So there was one network zone which was marked as a blacklist. And this is the event type. If you want to query the event using the log, using the search tool, then you have to use this value as event type, and that is zone.make blacklist, right? So you have to always query using this if you want to search for all the blacklisted zone from your logs. Result is success. That means whatever event I try to do was successful, and this is a timestamp when this log was published in the system log. Again, this is the AS number, but nothing. This is an ISP numbers to identify which internet service provider I was using, and what is the nature of business of my ISP, which is core infrastructure. This is the name of my ISP, and this is the full name of the ISP. And this is the info level log. Logs are always classified as info, warning, and error, right? So this is an informational log. This is not an error. This is not a warning. And if you look at further on this, then you can see there was no zone. This is the IP address which was added to this network zone, and 10.10.30.80 was the IP address which I added as in the network zone as a blacklisted. So if any user comes from this IP address, will be marked as blacklisted and Okta will not allow them to log in. So this is what I created. In the request URI, I made a call to this API. So when I create a zone, Okta behind the scenes make a call to the API and creates a zone. So this is the API call which was made. And this is the request ID for my request. Again, what event was performed? Zone.make blacklist, which you also saw here somewhere as an event also, right? Here. So this was the event which was performed. Again, this is the transaction ID for this particular log, so that in case in future you want to search this log within 6 months, you can use this transaction ID and you can only see this specific log. Again, there are more information about the IP address, latitude, longitude, and so on, right? Now, finally, on the target, you have alternate ID as unknown because network zones do not have an Okta username, so that is blank. Display name is block IP. This is the name of the network zone which I gave yesterday. This is the ID of the network zone and type is network zone. So I created a network zone and that is a type. So this is how you have to read and understand the log. So from this, I can tell that this actor Sumit created a network zone with an IP address of 10.10.3080 and a network zone was marked as a blacklisted. So that means this IP address would not be allowed to log in to Okta. And this event was performed from India. And this was the network zone which was created. So if you go to my security network zone, right, security networks, then you should be able to find this network zone which was created, block IP. And there it is, right? And you can see this is IP address which is there in the network zone and it is a block list. Got it? Any question?
No.
Again, if you would like to see any other event, I can expand. Let's say user log into Okta, right? This is a very common event. Everyone will log into Okta, all of your user. So when user log into Okta, again, you see actor who is logging into Okta, and this is the user who is logging into Okta, and you have the similar information as before. Again, in client, you have the information about the computer IP address and the country from where, browser from where this authentication attempt was made. And again, you can see the result, whether it was successful or not. You can see the event type. What is this event type? User.session.start. So that means this is a global session policy, a global Okta global login. I logged into Okta, not any specific app, not even dashboard, not even admin console. I just logged into Okta and it was successful. And then if you want to see the device fingerprint, which device I used and whether I have used this device or not in previous attempts, you can then search with this device and you can find all the logs related with this device. And again, what API call was made behind. So our API call was made to this endpoint of Okta with this API endpoint. And this is again the legacy event for this event type. So if you want to search for only for login events, you can then search with this event type. This is the transaction ID to query this log in the future. And target was none because I just logged into Okta, so there were no targets.
The device fingerprint, is that the MAC address or does Okta assign a device fingerprint to every device that it signs on?
So it is not a MAC address. It is a combination of your IP address, your browser, your system type, like Windows, Mac, and so on. And including all of these, your browser creates a fingerprint. Every browser has a capability of creating a fingerprint so that the next time you do an authentication from the same device, Okta knows if you're using the same device or a new device. So it's a browser capability.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Push user to new external application. This is an event when you assign a user to an app and that app has been enabled to do provisioning and Okta tries to push the user to that third-party application, right? In that case, this event will be generated. And you can see who tried to push the user, system@okta.com. So that will always be system@okta.com because you as an admin, you can only assign the user to the application and then use Okta uses SCIM protocol in the behind to push the user to third-party application. So actor itself is the Okta, nobody else. Then you can see this is the event which has occurred, push new user to external application. So a user was tried to push to external application, and this is the event type. Result was successful. That means the user was successfully pushed. And again, this is the legacy event type. If you want to search what was the event, and if you only want to search for external application push events, then you can search using this event type. Application name was support. So this was the name of the application which got where user were uh, assigned. No, I think application name would be, yeah, application name is support where this user was assigned. And if you see the request, then this is the request ID. So you can search for this log anytime in the future in the next 6 months. Targets are the system which got impacted. Then first impact happened to this user account, which is Tim H. And this is an app user profile, not the user profile in directory people. I told you right, in Okta, every user has multiple profile. One is from the directory which they get. And whenever you assign this user to an application, user also gets an app user profile. And that is why I think one day somebody was having a wrong username, so we were able to edit and change the username only for that app, right? And again, when you come from a directory like Active Directory or Workday or any others, then you also have a directory profile. So there are multiple profiles per user, and this profile of the user which got impacted is from app user. So that means the app profile of this user. And again, this is the direct user profile which got impacted, which is from the directory people. That's why you see the type as user. And this is the application which got impacted, Okta Help Center. This is where the user was pushed. And this is an app because we know the type is set as app instance. Any question?
Can you show us how to filter the reports for like errors? What if I want to see all the errors that occurred for today?
So yeah, so for all the errors, you have how do you know this is an error or not? In order to know this is an error, we have to see the result as failure. Okay, currently this result is success, right? So you have to have this result as failure, and this result is an attribute of outcome, right? So you have to type here in your search outcome dot result equals failure in all caps. Then whatever failure event has occurred, it will show all of those events. So these were the failure. There was one event delivery as a failure, and then there was one invalid token provided during org to org, and there was one error while doing some group push for app Salesforce. So these were all the failures in my system from past 1 week.
Sumit, if we had a user and we wanted to see their logs, is there a way to do that?
Yes, there is one hard way to do that. One is you know their user ID. Let's say this is a user, right? Then I can fetch the user ID, right? And I can then go to system log, and if this is an actor or target, you have to first specify this. Let's say this is an actor, then I can say actor dot ID equals to, and I can paste this ID. Then whatever event this user has performed will show. Currently, there are no events from this user. The other way is I can go to directory people and I can search for this user, and I can click on view logs, which will specify the query for me automatically in the system logs. So if you see, the query got applied automatically, and here it is not just searching for an actor, but also searching if this user was a target by any other application or by any other actor. And then it found few logs where this user is a target. Right?
Okay, yeah, got it.
And what were the event? Can you explain me event? This event. Can you explain me this event? What happened here? What do you think by looking at this event?
The actor, Sumit Tiwari, tried to update the password for Okta, and it was successful.
Whose password was updated?
It seems like for the user Irfan Kidwai. So
So
the
Irfan Kidwai's password was updated by this actor, right?
by the actor,
Okay.
yeah. So
How
he was the
did I
target.
update the password?
It says raw user agent postman. So you use the postman API.
Correct. So using Postman API, I updated the password for Irfan Kidwai. And that's why this log was generated.
So
Right.
user agent is the tool that the actor uses.
Correct. It's a tool or device that the actor uses to perform this event. This entire client, if we, is nothing but the device which the actor uses to perform this event, then this entire event is performed by this actor, right? And then this is what the request did when the event was performed, and this is a target. This is how we summarize this.
Actor client event request and target. And that event that's a specific alphanumeric code for the event itself.
Where do you see this one? Yeah, this one is the event ID, only
Event ID.
which will only have this single event.
I see. Okay.
Explain me this. Happened here.
Okay, and this was the actor Sumit Tiwari used Postman to add a group user, which was
Add
a
a group
success,
user
or add
or add a
a
user to a
group.
group.
Add a user to a group, which was successful.
What was
And
the group name? Who was the user and what was the group name?
Okay, the user was Irfan Kidwai and the group name was Postman Training Group.
So if I want you to filter, find me all the logs from past 30 days for group membership, can you?
We would have to, when we go to the log, we would have to go to the top on the system log and put in the value for 30 days, for the last 30 days, from the calendar.
Okay.
And it would populate the first 50.
But it is
events.
populating me something else. I only want group membership logs.
Oh, group membership logs.
For 30 days.
Then we'll need to use the expression language in the search bar to narrow our query, right?
What do I put it here?
We would have to put I guess we would have to specify, since we're specifying a certain event, so we would have to specify that the event would be related to a group.
How do we specify that? First of all, it's not event, it's event type. Okay. Go ahead.
Event type. Okay.
How do I specify an event related to a group? Can I say event group like this?
Equals the EQ
Yeah.
Okay.
space. Let me see how you do group.
Yeah. I'm just trying to look it up right
So
now.
the best way is you expand one of the group membership log, see the event type, right? What is the event type here for this event? The event type is group.usermembership.add, right? So you copy this and event type equals in quotes, put the event type and then make a search. In that case, all event will only be for group membership addition from last 1 month. Got it?
Okay. So that's kind of like the endpoint that we're
This is not
specifying.
endpoint. This is search query.
Yeah.
Endpoint is this report system log 2, and this is where you're passing the search query, right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's after the query. Okay, it's afterwards.
So if you want to do the same thing using Postman, what you can do is first you can download the system log API, right? So you can go for Okta Postman collection. Postman collections Okta developer. Here you have system log. Click on run in Postman. Postman for Windows. Open Postman. Sorry. Select the workspace where you want to import my workspace and click on import. So this gets imported as system log API, right? I can now click on get logs and if I just click on send, then it will get me all the logs. If I want to get specific log, then I can say here as search, and then I can say event type EQ, right? And I can just search, it will find me the first 50 logs of group membership edition, right? And if you see all of these logs, this has found me some other kind of logs as well. So it has found me log of import started. Okay, I think I made one mistake. Sorry, yeah, filter. Filter is what I have to use. And then I can change and send. Now it will only find me user adding to the group logs, add user to group membership, right? And then this is the same log in a JSON format. I can also do this using Postman. Is it cool?
Yeah. That's
Yes,
Yeah,
no.
interesting.
yeah, it's interesting.
I wanted to ask about this JSON format. Is this pretty standard? Is this how we should get used to looking at things, or will we be using the actual logs in the Okta tenant more?
For a standard troubleshooting, you would be looking at this, but for APIs, JSON and XML are the standards.
So that's something we
Like,
should really familiarize ourselves with, looking at and reading and understanding this.
so learn about JSON, it's very small topic, right? You can Google JSON and in W3 schools, you can see what is a JSON, how to read and understand JSON objects and so on, right? It's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go for any YouTube based videos for JSON, there will be plenty of videos on JSON. One thing you have to know is if you're using this API and somebody asks you to convert this to a CSV, an Excel sheet, what you do is you copy the entire response. You go to Google and you type JSON to CSV. There are so many websites which will convert your JSON data into a CSV. And then you can enter the JSON data, copy and paste, and it will immediately convert this to a CSV. So you can see it converted from this JSON to an Excel, and you can then download this CSV, download result. So this looks more easy to read, right, than the JSON, if you would like prefer it this way.
Oh, that's actually very interesting.
Yeah, so you can download the result and so on. This is in case if your management is looking for data in the Excel sheet. This is all about log. Oh no, there is one more topic, which let me just go through quickly. There is also one more log here called import monitoring, and that is uh, the log which shows you how often it tried to import from Active Directory or from other directory sources which you have connected and whether that import was successful or failure, right? So it shows me different time when this was started, whether it was an incremental import or a full import, from which particular source did it start. So it is from oktatraining.com, which is my Active Directory, and then the progress. So it failed. If there was any successful, it could have showed me successful also. So if I want to see all the completed which were successful, I have nothing in my tenant. And I think it only records for the past 7 days, so you cannot see more logs here, right? Last but not the least is rate limit. Now, what is a rate limit? I think we have discussed this before. Okta, being a cloud provider, has to provide the best service to all of his clients. Let's say you're paying $1,500 yearly for your Okta tenant, and my company is also paying $1,500 for Okta tenant. But I am using million of user in $1,500, and if you're using only 10 user in $1,500, that is not fair, right? So in order to be fair and system to be available based on the usage and the pricing to be available accordingly, there's a concept of rate limit. So rate limit defines how much activity can you perform in your Okta per minute. Okay. And that is decided based on the license which you purchase from Okta, whether you're purchasing license for 10 users, 50 users, and so on. And based on that, your pricing will be decided. So here, if you go to rate limit, you will see the different rate limits for different API. For all email verification, we can only perform 100 email verification per minute. We can only make any API call related to application as 20 per minute. I can only access a specific app 100 per minute. I can only do authentication 100 per minute. I cannot have more than 100 per minute authentication in my Okta tenant, and so on, right? So if you exceed this number of 100 per minute, in that case, it treats this as a violation, and Okta will reduce this rate limits further down. So from 100, it will decrease it to 60, right? And if you do a three constant violation, it will make it 50%. So rate limit is something we have to keep in mind. You will see emails getting triggered whenever you hit 90% of the rate limit as a warning. And then once you cross 100%, you get a rate limit. And then you can see all the rate limit warnings. And then you can find why the rate limit occurred, who was the actor. And based on that, then you can reach out to the actor and you can try to ask them what way they were doing and try to ask them to optimize their process so that you are within the rate limit. Yeah, now we are finally done with logs. Any question?
No.
All right, if not, then tomorrow we will connect and tomorrow we'll have Swa and some small topic on security.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, team, again for joining today. Have a great day.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye. You too.